Next, we will hear from Andreia Nobre. Andreia, I will hand it over to you.
Basically, what's happening is that I am being sued for alleged transphobia. Okay, so I'm going to read down here what I wrote. So I am a Brazilian journalist and writer, and I have talked openly in news articles about women's rights since at least 2009, when I wrote my first opinion pieces on sexual harassment, being a survivor myself of child sexual abuse. In January this year, 2025, I was made aware that I am being sued by a man in Brazil for writing a news article about the lawsuit he was moving against a beauty salon for refusing a waxing service, as they only attended women. So this happened in 2022. This man adopted this name, Kim Flores Carlos. So Kim, like in Kimberly, so it's a feminine name. He booked a waxing session by phone at this beauty salon in Brazil, Milania Institute. On the day of his session at the salon, this man was taken to a room, but after a few minutes, the beautician who was going to serve him, to attend him, she came out and she told the salon owner that the customer was in male briefs and he had an erection. So the service was refused to this man, as the salon only attended women. It's like in the front of the building, you know, we only attend women. This man filmed the whole interaction and he put the video on social media like TikTok and stuff like that, but he didn't get a lot of engagement and stuff like that. So he decided to sue the salon. So in January 2023, I report the case in a news article in English for the Feminist publication 4W Pub. Shortly after, I published in my Medium account a translation of my own article into Portuguese, because I'm Brazilian, for the Brazilian feminist publication KJ Feminista, which is now extinct, doesn't exist anymore, they shut down. The lawyer defending the salon says that Kim, this man, lost his lawsuit in June 2023. In 2024, Kim started a new lawsuit against the salon for refusing the service. But this time he included me for publishing the Portuguese translation on Medium, and Medium for allowing my article in Portuguese on that platform. Since then, Medium has suspended my account and the article in Portuguese is no longer available online, as well as my journalist work over the course of a decade. The lawsuit asks for heavy financial reparations due to alleged moral damage for evident act of transphobia, specifically for referring to Kim as a man throughout the article, for imputing false facts and causing embarrassment by quoting the salon owner about the client having an erection. Those are the things that he was saying. So the arrival of the official document was also made in a rather clumsy way, you know. So the proper way of notifying a person that they are being sued is sending them the official document via the justice system. This is the way it's done in Brazil, with a justice officer delivering the letter in person to the respondent of a lawsuit, in this case me. The respondent is the only one who can sign the reception of the notification, as in Brazil, a third party can't sign it for the respondent, not even with a power of attorney document. In case the respondent is not found living at the address the notification was sent to, the lawsuit can proceed. But instead, my family in Brazil was tracked down, nominating my mother's address as my home address, and the notification was sent via the postal service, with the post officer unaware that my family members should be told that this was a notification for me and that in my absence at the address, nobody had an obligation to sign the reception of the letter on my behalf. So referring to Kim as a man was crucial for the news article I wrote, as the salon only catered for female waxing. They just do female waxing, such as the Brazilian waxing, the full waxing, but not the Brazilian, okay? I was recently told that the procedure for women and men are different. A single beautician can perform the waxing on a woman, whereas 2 people are needed to perform a Brazilian. I'm going to try to describe a bit what is needed. So this is for the safety of the male customer, okay? So one beautician presses on their hands on the customer's body. So it's like, one hand she's pressing on the body to stretch the skin, right? To reduce the pain and gain effective hair removal. While an assistant proceeds to move away where it's needed, both testicles and penis, right? So the beauty salon in question didn't have beauticians trained in Brazilians and risked being sued anyway if they tried, because they might have hurt the customer, right? There's also the question of me embarrassing Kim for writing that he had an erection. But this was simply a quote from the salon owner when I interviewed her for the news piece I wrote. Kim also claims to be poor and implies that I am a person of elevated social status for being a journalist and having published books, when in reality, I am the recipient of child benefit in Belgium and financially dependent on my spouse. So this case can be considered pivotal in Brazil and for Brazilian women, as this is an act of press censorship. Even though my case is not the first and only one of persecution of Brazilian women by trans activists by any measure, the difference is that many women being persecuted at the moment are being sued or attacked for centering women in feminism, or for saying that men can't be women in public, or for posting about it on social media, but not for writing a news piece. In fact, I wrote for 4W Pub about several other cases, including about 3 other journalists, Patricia Ellis, who was threatened with expulsion from the Brazilian Labour Party for criticizing the presence of a man in the We Spa sauna case, Then there was journalist Djamila Ribeiro, who was piled on for an article criticizing the terms people who menstruate, and journalist Madeleine Lasco, who was sued for a reply to a man who claims to be trans. This reply was on X, and she referred to this man, we used the word in Portuguese, cara, in her reply. So the translation of the word cara in the context is mate, okay? And as in English, is more often used for men, mate, but it can be used for women as well. But the man who sued Ms. Lasco insists that she referred to him as a man, and she was forced to pay. These are not the only cases, the only women facing hardship due to false accusations of transphobia at the moment. So right now, we have multiple people being persecuted in Brazil, losing their livelihoods, being investigated by the police, or being sued as we speak, most of them women. I'm reminded of Gisela Carvalho, a Black lesbian woman who founded a cultural space for lesbians in Rio de Janeiro, and around 2020 was boycotted after a man who attended her cultural space. He was a man claimed to be trans, and he defamed her as being a transphobe. So Gisela's space, Resiliencia, one of the fewest lesbian spaces in the city, had to close down, and she now struggles to make ends meet. There is also Isabella Sepa, who used to have a feminist bookshop and has been persecuted for years now for criticizing a man on an Instagram post. This man, Philippe Hilton, he's an elected councillor, city councillor. He describes himself as a transvestite, and he was elected as a city councillor for São Paulo. And he bragged on social media that he was the most voted female councillor in the city's history. So Isabella wrote, the most voted female councillor is a man. She faces 25 years in prison, and she had to flee Brazil. And it's becoming worse. Isabella Sepa has shared posts from other people, and these people are now being considered guilty by association, like Karen Mizuno. Her case, a trans activist was criticizing the fact that the skeleton named Lucy is of the female sex, claiming that Lucy could be trans. Karen screenshotted it and wrote on social media, "Human extinction is increasingly ceasing to be a fear and becoming a hope." This post on X is from years ago, but Karen had the police on her door on December 2024. We are even told that people who had their posts shared by Isabella Sepa are being accused of criminal conspiracy or racketeering, the crime of forming a criminal organization. That's the point we are in Brazil right now. There are many, many cases, and if anyone cares to look for the Brazilian leg of Women's Declaration, they have a document talking about several other cases, including Gisela Carvalho, that I mentioned already, other cases that I mentioned here today. These are the most recent cases that I could remember. So just to finalize here, I had to get a lawyer to defend myself from these accusations. My lawyer said this week to me that she's kind of hopeful, and this is the state that we are. We have Trump in the United States, and she said that she kind of looked into the judge on my case, and she said that he's conservative. So it's, you know, nowadays it's like considered lucky to get a conservative judge, because he might dismiss these accusations and we might not go into trial. So I had to get a lawyer to defend myself, but I won't be making crowdfunding campaigns for myself to defend myself. What I do ask for people, if they can, they would like and are able to support me to pay the lawyer, to be, you know, buy myself published books. You know, some of them, I have 5 of them. So it's the humor series, the Grumpy Guides, the Grumpy Guide to Quit Smoking, the Grumpy Guide to Radical Feminism, the Grumpy Guide to Motherhood. Then we have the report on women's sex-based oppression. And then now we have my newest book that I published last December, which is called Girls Matters and What Matters to Girls. All Amazon. If you can support me, you can do so by buying them, okay? And alternatively, you can ask your local library or bookshop to get my books, so you can buy books or can borrow books from the library, or you can buy from a bookshop close to you. And I will be in the breakout rooms after the webinar if anyone has any other questions. Thank you very much.